Hello, good morning, good afternoon. We're going to get started very shortly. We're just going to wait for people to come on into the virtual Zoom room and we'll get started. Thank you. All right. We have several hundred people here with us today and more are filing in as I speak. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today from all around the country, maybe around the world, wherever you are. I am Lisa Shomo. I am Senior Manager, Content Marketing here at Viome. And I am very, very happy to be here with not one, not two, but three people from our fantastic Viome clinical nutrition team. Hillary.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us. Thanks for coming.
And Janelle.
Hi, everyone.
And Julia, who's new to webinars, and we're so happy to have you here.
Yay. Hi, everyone.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we are all here today to help you navigate your Viome results and recommendations and answer questions that we've seen come up lately on social media. So really, without any further ado, I think we can jump right in and start at the beginning, meaning what comes first. And so our first question is, when I first opened my app after getting my results, what should I look at first? Foods, supplements, scores? There's so much information. And so Janelle, I'd love for you to take that question.
All right, I'll start us off. Well, this is a great question because there is so much information. It's actually something I love about Viome, right? You can keep it surface level if you prefer, or you can dig down as deep as you'd like. When you first open your app, allow yourself some time to just digest the home screen. This is what you see here on the slide right now. And the home screen gives a really great visual of your recommendations. So you can see your superfoods, your avoid foods, and your higher level health scores. You can think of those higher level health scores as like a summary of all the activities we looked at in your sample. So take a look at those. For me, I know having that understanding of your current status is so important for connecting, to why you're eating or avoiding certain foods. If I'm being encouraged to avoid eating a food that I typically have, I want to understand why, and that's going to help me stay motivated. So take a peek at those health scores. From there, you can stop if you prefer. You don't have to dive deeper into all of the sub scores until you're ready and you've had time to really wrap your head around your food recommendations. I'd suggest, over the first week of having your results, come back to that home screen often, become really familiar with the foods on your superfood and avoid food list. Maybe click on a few of those avoid foods that you do eat often and read about why they're being avoided for you. With the superfoods, find the ones you're less familiar with or you just don't eat that often. And in the first few weeks, you could try a few of those less familiar ones, experiment with how to cook or prepare them in a way that works for you. And do something similar with your supplements, actually. You'll see those on the home screen too. Each day, click on a few of those supplement ingredients that are recommended specifically for you. Learn about why. Luckily, with the supplements, there's a lot less effort involved in that you can't just, click order and the work will be done for you. But, it doesn't quite require that same effort that incorporating the new foods requires. But I think it's always fun to learn about, why you're taking something and the potential benefit of it. Then as you become more comfortable with the information on the home screen, over the following weeks, keep coming back to the app, look at more of the details, things like your nutrition plan. We have Viome's guide to recommendations. Those can be really helpful. You can also then get into like the nitty gritty of your functional scores and your pathway activities and learn more about what's going on in your body.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I use my Viome app all the time. I love it. The home screen is really a great place to get started. So thank you for that. All right. So why don't you also, Janelle, handle the next question? It's connected. So what is important to address first? Should I throw out everything in my fridge and pantry? Should I cut out all avoid foods? What is your advice?
Okay. I have a few thoughts on this. I'm not a proponent of changing everything at once. There's a small like subset of people who that works really well for, and that's awesome. But for the majority of us, it's much more sustainable to implement those like incremental changes over time. So don't start by throwing everything out of your refrigerator and pantry. Now, if there's a few foods that are like trigger foods for you, maybe it's something you go to when you're stressed or you have a harder time controlling how much you eat of that food. Sure, throw those out, help eliminate that trigger. Overall, though, I'd suggest starting with your superfoods. Like those are there to support you, right? You should be eating them, and that's exciting. I know people are drawn to the avoid food list, but focusing on the superfoods first helps to avoid like a scarcity or a restriction mindset. That feeling when, someone tells you you can't have something and then it's all you want, we want to avoid that. So focus on eating a variety of your superfoods. As you do that, you're putting something, good into your body, but it's also very possible that you will naturally push out some of those less healthy foods you were eating. That's called the crowd out principle, and it's a much more positive and sustainable approach to changing your diet. So yeah, go for superfoods first.
Excellent. Great advice. Introduce some new foods, then start to shove off those ones that are not so good for you. Fantastic. All right. So next up, a lot of my scores don't look very good. Should I be worried? So this one I'm going to have Hillary handle.
Okay, so should you be worried if your scores don't look very good? No, there's no need to worry. Remember that the Viome test is a wellness test. It's not a diagnostic test. So poor scores on this wellness test don't necessarily mean that you're in terrible health condition. Your scores rather are meant to be more of a report card. So they highlight the areas where you need more work, and they highlight the areas where you're doing really well. I know when I did my first Viome test, my scores were pretty surprising. They were not as great as I thought they would be. I thought I was eating clean, I was exercising, but my gut health was not so good. And what I didn't realize was that I was eating foods that were causing bloating, causing stomach upset. So once I got my Viome results and my recommendations, I really committed myself to the program. And I'd say after about a year or so, my scores really improved. So there's no need to worry. I'm positive that with your hard work and your commitment to the program, things will get better. The body has this miraculous ability to heal itself. So once you start feeding your body with the right stuff, it will do the work for you. So do you need to worry? No. If you suspect you have a serious health condition, it's always good to start that conversation with your doctor. But otherwise, no, there's no need to worry. Do you have some work to do? Yes, but you now have the tools that you need to do that work with your Viome recommendations.
Awesome. Awesome. I remember seeing my first results and they weren't very good either, but my favorite thing to say is it's a marathon, not a sprint. This is a wellness journey. So excellent. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. So next question is, I found that some of my Viome superfoods showed up on a food sensitivity test for me, which is right. And Julia, I'm going to have you answer that one.
Yeah, this is such a great question. So I think it's important to remember that Viome focuses on analyzing gene expression to understand how you're moving closer in or away from optimal health and what nutrients your body will benefit from. So the goal of following the Viome diet is to help rebalance your gut microbiome and to improve your overall digestive health. And in turn, this will help you include more foods comfortably into your diet in the future. So while we do not test for food sensitivities, we do recognize that there are some foods you might be sensitive to. So we definitely encourage you to listen to your body. And if avoiding those foods you're sensitive to feels right, then we support that decision.
Awesome. Yes, listening to your body is so important. And some people are just not used to it yet. So, get used to listening to what happens after you eat something. It's great advice. Thank you. So the next question is, I see viruses listed in the Your Gut Active Microbes list in my app. What are these viruses from and how can I get rid of them? Janelle, can you handle that one?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I'll start by saying we are actively learning, right? Our understanding of the microbiome is continually growing. It has been known for a number of years that viruses are a common part of the human microbiome. There's even some viruses that have shown to play a beneficial role, which is really interesting. But as we've developed more technology to sequence these, we're better able today to identify some of these viruses. At Viome, we use metatranscriptomic sequencing, and that enables us to look for RNA viruses. From that, our data shows that the most common RNA viruses are plant pathogenic viruses. So these are probably what you're seeing in that Gut Active Microbe section in your app. These viruses, they live either on or in foods, and so they can be transmitted when you eat those foods. Because it's still a relatively new area, there's a limited number of studies that characterize these viruses. But what we do see from some of those studies, as well as some of our preliminary findings as well, is that they can elicit an immune response, and they are correlated with symptoms like abdominal pain. So as a wellness test, we're not able to diagnose based on the presence of a virus. But if it's there, we do suggest avoiding the food for like a 3 to 4 week period to allow that virus to clear. And more importantly, for you to notice if there's any symptoms with that. Overall, though, my suggestion would be don't get too hung up on the Gut Active Microbes list in your app. While it's really interesting, I think the more interesting part is that, here at Viome, we've shown that it's not so much about who's there in the gut, but about what they're doing. And you see that in your score results. There's actually a lot of pathogens that can be kept in check and live like relatively harmoniously in the gut when you have a healthy gut environment and a balanced microbiome. But if you do see a virus in your active microbes list that you're really concerned about, you definitely can review those results with your doctor and see what they advise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The list can be long and it can be daunting because they're also big words, but, I like the advice to not focus on that, but, focus on your scores, focus on your foods. So yeah. Excellent. All right. Next up. For the daily servings of each food group, I have 5 per day of fruits and grains. Do I need to have one of those servings be a minimized food? Are minimized foods okay to have? How do I balance this out? Julia, how about you answer that one?
Yeah, love this question. So you don't necessarily need to have one of those servings come from the minimized category. If it happens to, that's totally okay. We do recommend minimizing foods to 20% of your daily intake. So if you have one serving from fruit and grains from your minimized category, that would be reasonable. The foods in the minimized section are minimized because of, or it could be because of Viome's glycemic response model. So this model predicts foods that may have a higher than normal blood sugar response. Another reason a food could be minimized is because of scores. So for example, let's say your salt stress pathway is in the not optimal range. Foods such as olives, kimchi, as well as sea salt would be minimized. We have some exciting news in the near future. We will be displaying minimized reasons for foods. This will be for new kits only, so stay tuned for this update.
Awesome. That's great news. That's great news. I have seen questions about that before online. Perfect. Okay. So next question is, if we can eat tomatoes and peppers after the 3 to 4 week period, once the food virus is gone, won't it just come back? This is a great question for Janelle.
Okay, I'll keep tackling that virus conversation. Yes, there's a possibility that a food virus could come back after, the 3 to 4 week period of avoiding it. Right now I have a alfalfa virus, which is darn, because I grow my own sprouts every week. So that was really a bummer. I've had my plant viruses change from test to test, and some tests where I don't have any plant viruses. That 3 to 4 week period is really just there to help you clear the virus and identify if it was causing any symptoms for you. I know I have a friend of mine who experienced this with tomatoes. She eliminated them for a month due to a tomato virus in her results. And then when she tried to incorporate them again, she noticed that she bloated every time she had them. So for her, she decided it was just best to continue to avoid them. When you do reintroduce a food, though, that you've been avoiding due to a virus, just be sure that you reintroduce one food at a time over a period of at least a few days, so you can notice if you're having any symptoms to that. And if you're not having any symptoms, you can feel free to incorporate that food back in.
Right. Excellent. Just once again, listening to your body. It's something that we definitely all need to practice on a regular basis and just be mindful. It's a good note. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Next question. Raw almonds are minimized for me, but almond milk isn't enjoyed. What about almond butter or almond flour? This is a great question. I see this actually a lot. Janelle, can you take that one?
Yeah, I love talking about food. So these questions are so good. At Viome, we look at food from many angles. And so that includes what happens to it when it's processed or changed into something like almond milk. So when you make almond milk, the nuts are soaked, they're strained, and the solids are removed. And with that process, it really results in a different nutrient profile than if you were eating a whole almond. So for example, whole almonds are much higher in oxalate content than almond milk is. Oxalates are a type of compound that's found naturally in a variety of foods, and they are broken down by your gut microbes. So if you had a score in your results that showed a low activity of your gut microbes to metabolize those oxalates, then minimizing almonds, might be the best step for you. But it may still be okay to enjoy almond milk since it has less. Similarly, whole almonds have more phytic acid. That's mostly found in the skin of the almonds. Phytic acid can block the absorption of some of our minerals. Soaking nuts helps to break that down. So naturally, again, you have less of it in almond milk. But in terms of things like almond butter or almond flour, where you are using the whole almond, if almonds are minimized, then you'd want to minimize those as well.
All right. Thank you. Okay. So, here's our next question. This is a fun one. What is the Viome recommendation for alcohol? And so, Julie, I'm going to have you take that one.
Yes, this is the famous question. I feel like I see this all the time. So remember that Viome's recommendations are based off what is optimal for your microbiome. So because of this, we don't include alcohol in the recommendations because of the potential negative effects on the microbiome. Some of these effects is it can promote harmful bacteria as well as just decrease beneficial populations of bacteria. So not great. So even though I guess red wine does contain resveratrol, you would need to consume around 100 milligrams for any health benefits. So red wine contains roughly 12 milligrams of resveratrol per liter, which would be almost 8 liters of wine, which you'd need to consume 34 glasses a day, which would be way too much. So because of these negative effects on the microbiome, we don't include it in our recommendation.
Okay, so stick with your 6-ounce glass of red wine and then take your supplements. Definitely good advice. All right. So our next question is, when general foods are listed such as lettuce, apples, onions, and grapes, does that mean all kinds? And Janelle, I'm going to have you take this one too.
All right. So yeah, if it's a general term in the food list, like apples, you can assume any type. If you feel inclined to dive deeper and do a little of your own research, you can do that as well. I think a good example of that is grapes. If grapes are recommended for you for their resveratrol content, like Julia was talking about, you can get that from both green and red grapes, but red grapes are going to have more. So you can look into little things like that. For lettuce, we have a general lettuce on the list, so you could apply that to like romaine or butter lettuce. But there are a lot of other leafy greens on the food list, like spinach, arugula, chard. So you'll see specific recommendations on those.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Next question is, tomatoes are on my avoid list, but my doctor says that I should take lycopene. Can I take that supplement even though tomatoes are on? Oh, I'm so sorry. I read that wrong. Tomatoes are on my avoid list, but my supplements ingredients contain lycopene. Can I take that even though tomatoes are on my avoid list? And so Hillary, this one's for you.
Yeah, sure. That's actually one of the really cool parts about precision supplements is they interact really well with your food recommendations. So if tomatoes are a void for you, that means you might be missing out on some really beneficial nutrients that tomatoes can provide, like lycopene. So if your avoid for tomatoes is not due to lycopene, then yes, of course you can have lycopene. It's also, if there's a food that you should not eat, we're not going to put it in your supplements either. So we're making sure that you're getting those beneficial nutrients from the foods you can't avoid, making sure we don't put those foods you have to avoid in your supplements. So they're completely customized for you, making sure that you get those nutrients that you need.
Excellent. So I love that the food recommendations, then you add in your supplement ingredients list, and then you have like a full nutritional solution for better health. It's a great way to go. Very easy.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. I'm experiencing a lot of gas when I take my probiotics and prebiotics. What is happening? And I see this question a lot too. And so it's a great one to address. Hillary.
Sure, I'll take this one too. Yeah, we do get this a lot and it's completely normal. Before we talk about what's happening, let's make sure we know what pre and probiotics are. So probiotics are live organisms like bacteria or yeast that have a benefit for you. Their benefits can be anything from aiding digestion, preventing diarrhea, and rebalancing your microbiome with the good bacteria, and so much more. The probiotics are amazing. Now, prebiotics are plant fibers. They're not able to be digested by your upper digestive tract where most food is normally digested. So that means they can make it down to the lower parts of your colon where your microbiome lives. And when they get to the lower parts of the colon, they are fermented. And so when you hear fermentation, you usually think alcohol, right? So let's think about the beer making process. So they use yeast to make alcohol and gas, right? So gas is what makes the beer really bubbly. Well, that's kind of what's happening in your gut. So the bacteria and yeast are taking that fiber, the prebiotics, and they're fermenting it, and they're creating gas. And so that can be a bit uncomfortable, right? So it's common. What we recommend to help kind of mitigate that uncomfortableness is to start slow. So if you just introduce a little bit of the prebiotics and then work your way up to your full stick pack a day, that helps minimize the discomfort so that you can work your way up, take your full stick pack comfortably.
Absolutely. Starting small with your pre and probiotics works for sure. It worked for me. And That's the thing about gas. Everybody has it. Nobody wants to talk about it. So that's a great way to smooth into making your pre and probiotics work for you. Absolutely. All right, next question. I've been taking my supplements for about a month and I'm not noticing any difference in how I feel. So why? And Hillary, this is a good one for you too.
Sure, you can send me all the supplement questions. Yeah, so as great as supplements are, they aren't a miracle cure. It takes time for them to work. And there are many factors that come into play that influence how your supplements are going to react in your body, like what ingredients are in your formula, what is the composition of your microbiome like, how drastically you're improving or changing your diet, and then how much room for improvement that you have. There's some ingredients and precision supplements like B vitamins, for example, that you might feel a difference in your energy and your alertness right away, like perhaps as quick as a few days or weeks. But then on the other hand, there's other ingredients that just need time to accumulate in your body, like glucosamine, for example. We recommend it for joint pain. And it can take 4 to 8 weeks for you to notice a difference in your joint pain. And then pre and probiotics also, they're going to take some time to make an impact on your microbiome. And the changes might even be so subtle that you don't feel them. We hear often from our customers, and even from my personal experience, that I notice when I don't take my supplements. I don't notice a huge change when I'm on them, but when I don't take them, like if I miss my pre and probiotics for a few days, for example, I notice that my stomach feels really sensitive, right? The foods that I would normally tolerate really well kind of upset my stomach. And so it's possible that the changes in your body are so subtle that you don't even notice. And so that's why we encourage you to retest every 3 to 6 months so that you can really see the changes in your microbiome. And then when you retest, your precision supplements will be updated, your formula will be updated to reflect your biology, where it's at when you retest.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, just stick with it, be consistent, and then retest to check in and see how you're doing. Totally makes sense. Thank you. All right, so the next question is, what should I look at in my scores from retest to retest? Speaking about retesting. So Janelle, can you handle that one?
Sure. I'd say before you look at anything, it's important to manage expectations. You know, we all want straight A's when we take a test, but it's a little different with a wellness test, right? Our bodies are dynamic and our microbiome is a dynamic ecosystem. On top of that, we're surrounded by stressors to our body, whether it be, pollution, pesticides, other chemicals that we're not always in control of. Your Viome plan is really a process of improving step by step. And I think we've highlighted that a few times today already. I wouldn't expect anyone to go from like many scores being not optimal to all scores being good in a matter of 6 months or less. Like, it's just probably not realistic. Instead, we want to look for incremental changes in your scores at retest. So maybe it's not every score that sees a change. It's not uncommon for a few areas to improve, but others to kind of plateau and stay the same. You may even have one score that appears to be slightly worse. That's kind of the ebb and flow of this process and the longer term journey to better health. So as you retest, which we do encourage every 4 to 6 months, we're able to see and assess those areas that have changed and also areas that still need support, and then readjust your food and your supplement recommendations to target those areas like Hillary was talking about. I do also want to emphasize one other thing. I think it is so helpful to monitor your own symptoms at retest also. This sometimes gets forgotten because, it's probably human nature that we want to look at a scorecard to tell us how we're doing. But if you can jot down, 1 to 2 things that you're hoping to improve as you take your test, maybe it's reducing constipation or bloating, having more energy, losing weight, whatever it is for you, check in with yourself regularly between your tests as you're following your plan, and assess that progress as well. I think that's a really good check-in.
Absolutely. And if you have time, a diary is good too. Just like,
Yeah.
how did you feel after each meal? So
I
it's
think
good
that
to-
sometimes we forget, like Hillary was kind of mentioning with the supplements, sometimes we forget how we felt 4 months ago.
Before.
So it's great to record that along the way.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And so this is kind of related to the next question, which Janelle, I'm going to have you answer the next question as well. So here's the question. My recommendations for my first test changed my life, and I felt so good with them. So when symptoms started coming back at about 5 months, I retested. My results looked very different from the first time, and there hasn't been a dramatic change in how I feel this time. Why would that be?
Okay, this is a tough one to answer without sitting down and knowing this individual. So I might sound a little general, but to me, it sounds like there was maybe something that changed in their life or their routine as those symptoms started to come back before they retested. Like I just mentioned, there's a lot of factors that impact our health outside of what we eat. So, things like moving, traveling, those can impact the microbiome, having a lot of stress, not getting enough sleep, or maybe not hydrating well. If I were working with this person, I would probably say, let's take a step back and look at what might have changed in that time period. I also think that this is the beauty of retesting, because our lives do change, right? In various ways. And a retest is that opportunity to assess where you're at right now and what your body needs to support its health. And again, that I want to touch on the dramatic change that this person had between the first 2 tests. While it maybe wasn't as dramatic after the second test, that's okay. Your results are going to be different from one test to the next. And because of that, your recommendations will be different. It's also very likely that you improved between those first 2 tests. So you may not feel as dramatic of a change moving forward. I think of it as someone who's never exercised, right? If they go from never exercising to exercising 5 days a week, you're probably going to notice a big difference in those first weeks and months. But someone who is already exercising regularly and now decides to maybe slightly increase that intensity of their workouts, they're going to notice more subtle changes. Still good and beneficial, but it's okay to not have that dramatic change. Keep sticking with your recommendations and keep tracking how you feel over time.
Absolutely. That's a great analogy. Just keep sticking with it. Keep consistency in. Excellent. Okay, good. So our next question is, this is a good one. I am interested in why certain foods change from my avoid minimize list to my superfood enjoy list when I retested, and I haven't experienced this. So, it does happen, and I'd love to get this question answered. And this one's for Janelle as well.
This is a good question. We get this a lot. Yeah, it's very possible and honestly expected that your food recommendations will change from one test to another. It's meant to be that way because likely your scores have changed from test to test. Maybe some of the symptoms that you're reporting have changed, or health conditions, medications, all sorts of things could have changed in that time period. And your food recommendations are really just a result of all of those things. So your new food recommendations will consider those changes. They're going to be designed to address the scores and the symptoms that need the most support right now. And another thing to keep in mind is, at Viome, we have this food list of, close to 400 foods or so. Our food list is primarily whole foods, and they all have a variety of benefits. I know it's hard when for 6 months or so, we're thinking of a food as something to avoid. We kind of mentally put it in like a bad category in our minds. But we shouldn't think of these foods as good or bad, but rather there's times when this particular food is not helping to support our health. The goal is, for me, is always to bring more foods back into the diet over time. We see this with our customers, especially those who improve their digestive scores, right? And a food might go from avoid to enjoy, or maybe all the way up to superfood. And that's really great news. We want to see that you're able to eat more things. On top of that, at Viome, we are constantly learning and growing. The science in this area and the research is expanding so quickly. And with that, our recommendations change as well. We've also experienced tremendous growth in our customers over the past couple of years. And with that, our reference cohort expands. And that's who you're being compared to, right? These are all positive things. We're moving forward. And they're all upstream factors of how foods are recommended for you. So what it means is that when you retest, you're getting the most up-to-date recommendations.
Right, exactly. Actually, the amount of information that we're accumulating through all this testing is quite amazing. Just data upon data. And I was thinking about something. So my best friend took the test and she was like, I can never have tomatoes ever again. I'm like, no, no, that's not what it's about at all. It's definitely stick to it, and then retest, and then you can probably enjoy tomatoes again. They'll probably pop over to your enjoy or minimize list. And that is, part of the beautiful thing about this is what's not right for your body right now.
Right.
It may not be the same in 6 months, in a year, who knows? So
Yep.
Excellent. All right. So this next question is going to be for Hillary, and it's how does Viome evolve its recommendations with new science updates?
Sure. Yeah, this is great because it really highlights one of the coolest features about Viome is that we're constantly learning, evolving, and making our product better. Because our platform is so unique, the recommendations are personalized, the supplements are custom made, so nothing is set in stone. That gives us that opportunity to evolve. Janelle just mentioned that our customer population keeps growing, and we use artificial intelligence that is constantly learning from that growing customer population. So as we have more inputs of data, the machine learning keeps improving, right? So more data, better results. So that's internally, but externally, the field, the science is evolving too, right? Every day there are new discoveries, there are new publications. So we have a team of, really brilliant doctors and scientists that are constantly reviewing that literature, going to conferences, networking, and trying to learn everything we can about the microbiome, about the human body, so that whenever there's a breakthrough, whenever there's new information that comes out about food or supplements, we're adding that to our database. Also, whenever there's new microbial genome sequences, we're adding those to our catalog so we can identify new taxa or new organisms. We're adding that to our knowledge base, getting better. And then we're also learning from you guys. If you ever provide us any feedback, whether it's on social media, any of our surveys, straight to customer service, we're actually listening and we care a lot. So we take your advice, your recommendations, your concerns to heart, and we're constantly growing. So really cool. We get to always learn, we get to always evolve and make our product better for you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Hillary. That's another reason also why we're having webinars like this, so that we can answer your questions like all in at one time, and especially if the recurring questions are happening online, which a few of these are recurring questions. And so we do care about everybody and their individual wellness journeys. So that is actually it for the deck questions. What I would like to do now, because we have a good amount of time. So what I would like to do is do a little live Q&A. I know that there are quite a few questions in the Q&A chat box. So first, which one of you would like to go first, Janelle or Hillary? I didn't know which one of you might be ready.
Sure, I can take one.
All right.
Actually, I think we got one submitted from Facebook, so I'll grab that one. Beth from Facebook, hopefully you're there. Beth from Facebook says, I'd like to know, I had cancer 5 years ago and my results with this test are so different from what I'm supposed to eat for keeping cancer at bay. I was told to eat broccoli, cauliflower, or cruciferous veggies every day. Also, turkey was one of the only meats I should be eating, and it's all on my avoid list now. I'm worried about getting cancer back. Thank you for sharing that with us, first of all. Congratulations on being 5 years out. I personally am 9 years out, so I feel that same concern and worry. Something to think about, we don't want to compete with the recommendations from your doctor. It's obviously important if you have, especially an active health condition, to listen to your doctor. One thing I would consider, though, is that, again, these recommendations are for a period of time, your Viome recommendations. So when we see foods that we know are so good for us, like broccoli and cauliflower, right, on your avoid list, likely they're there because they have some sulfur content. And if the activity in your gut showed high sulfide gas production, we'd want to cut back on that. Overall, a bunch of sulfide gas in the gut can create a more inflammatory environment. Managing the inflammation in the body is so important for a number of health conditions, including cancer. So we are trying to address some of those core root causes by managing inflammation. I would encourage you to, consider that, read through why the foods are being recommended for you to avoid. Remember that it's temporary, and then collaborate with your doctor on what's best for you.
Excellent. Thank you, Janelle, for picking out that question and answering that. Do you want to go back and forth between you and Hillary? What would you like to do?
Sure. Yeah, Hillary, you can grab the next one.
Cool.
One. Not a specific one, but I'm noticing a lot of questions about will we have precision supplements in other countries. As you can imagine, there's a lot of challenges that come with offering custom personalized supplements out of the country. It's a big challenge that we're working on, hoping to have it in the near future. So please stay tuned and we'll keep you updated. And there was another one. Hold on, let me find it. Who was asking, do I have to take my pre and probiotics at breakfast? And no, you don't have to take pre and probiotics at breakfast. There's even another one. What is the best time of day to take supplements and pre-probiotics? So I like to take them in the morning. It's just part of my routine. I would say, however works best for you to incorporate your supplements into your routine, then you should go with that time of day. Now, the only caveats to that would be taking your supplements late at night. If you have any B vitamins in your supplements, those can kind of increase your energy and they may keep you awake at night. So you'll probably want to take those a little bit earlier in the day. But as far as your pre and probiotics, there isn't supposed to be anything very stimulating in them. So you could take those at any time of day. You just need to be sure to mix them in some kind of liquid. When you mix them with the liquid that animates the probiotics, so they're freeze dried in your packet, so they're inactive. When you add it to the water, they animate, they come to life. So put them in water, not hot water, because that would kill them immediately. And we recommend taking them with food. So that just helps minimize some of that gas, that bloating I mentioned before, and makes them a little bit more tolerable. So any time of day is fine. Take with food and plenty of water.
Hillary, can you mix them in food? Like, can you mix them in yogurt? Can you mix them in your smoothie? As long as it's not hot, yeah?
Yeah, sure. As long as they're not hot. Yeah, I put mine in my smoothie every day. It really helps me just make sure I get it in. Otherwise, sometimes I forget. So smoothie's great.
Yeah, I know. I was like, when do I take my supplements? When I remember them.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
But you know,
I have
that's what
to-
I love about Viome supplements is they're so easy to take
Yeah.
on the go. I can put them in my pocket, and then when I remember to take them, I take them.
Absolutely. All right. Janelle, do you have another question that you want to answer?
Sure. There's a couple of questions on here related to the food list, so I'll try to tackle a few of them. One is, what should I do with the products that are not found in my results? So should I add them in to my list or should I avoid them? That's a good question. We talked about some of the general foods like lettuce. You know, you can apply that to any type of lettuce if there's not this specific one in the food list. If there are some that you think, like something like lettuce or onions, we do definitely have on the list. So if you're not seeing that, contact customer support. We'll make sure there's not some bug or something preventing that from showing up for you. But outside of that, we don't make recommendations on the foods that we don't evaluate. And so those are going to be foods that you're just going to, probably the best case is to test it for yourself or compare it to something close to your list. We have another customer who said, I only have one superfood veggie and one superfood fruit or grain. Hi, Linda. That is the beauty of personalized nutrition, right? And so everyone's a little bit different. Obviously, if you only have one veggie on your superfood list, that doesn't mean we don't want you to eat veggies. We still want you to eat lots of veggies. Look in your nutrition plan to see how many you should eat each day. But lean on your enjoy list for that. I bet there are a lot of veggies in there. And again, it's really easy for us to like just focus in on those superfoods, but the enjoy food list is there for you as well. You should use it. And we know that diversity in the diet can help with diversity in the gut. So get a variety of veggies in.
Right. That's what I was just thinking. I'm like, the enjoy food list is there to give you diversity in your nutrition, and your gut loves diversity, you know, so that's a good way to go. Excellent. Hillary, did you find another one?
Or here's a good one. Oh, I lost it on my screen. This is about gas. Nobody wants to talk about gas, but let's do it today. I don't have gas, but my supplements cause smelly burps. Can you explain what's going on? There are some ingredients in precision supplements that don't smell very good. There's butyrate, for example, smells pretty terrible. What else? There's garlic that can cause smelly burps. So that's just, you know, a release of gas from the upper stomach coming out. Also lavender. Lavender can cause burps. A little bit more pleasant than garlic and butyrate, but that's normal. So it's just some of the flavors coming out from your supplements. Nothing to be worried about, but just that's how it is. Yeah, some things are a little bit smellier than others, and thankfully they're encapsulated so you don't have to taste that going down.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Janelle, did you have another one?
Sure. We have a question that says, if a food is a void because my gut cannot digest it, like lentils, can't I eat it with appropriate digestive enzymes? That's a good question. So, like I mentioned before, we look at foods from a lot of different angles. So it's not always just about, is this food easily digested for you or not? Sometimes there's some kind of nutrient or compound within that food that might have downstream effects in your microbiome based on the activity that we're seeing, right? So I would say if it's a void for you, I probably would stick with avoiding it. If you have it on occasion and taking those enzymes helps, you know, that's great, but it's probably avoided for more than just because of digestive issues.
Okay, very good. We are almost at about time. Hillary, did you have one more question you can maybe fit in there?
Of course. I've noticed there's a couple questions about where to find their results in the app, and that might be a good one because it might be hiding a little bit. So there was a question about the food list and then sending the full report to your doctor. So if you, oh, and there was one about the active microbes list. So if you open your app and you navigate to the More tab on the bottom, there's a button you can click. It says download your report. So you can have that report downloaded and sent straight to your doctor, or you can print it out and your food list will be there. So really convenient to bring to the grocery store if looking at your app is not working out for you. And then somebody asked about the active microbe list. So if you navigate to your scores tab and you find your active microbial diversity score, click on that score. And then at the bottom of the page, it says, see my active microbes. So click there and you'll get your full list of all of the microbes, the bacteria, yeast, fungi, viruses that we detected in your sample.
Absolutely. And also for everybody that has done full body intelligence, there is also a list for your oral microbiome as well, I believe, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's more information to download. All right. Okay. So I'm going to wrap up the live Q&A right now. And I do want to mention the Viome blog. If you're looking for even more information about our results and our recommendations, I would love to direct you to the Viome blog at viome.com/blog. And specifically the Viome guides category, and you can see the URL is right there on the deck. We have in-depth information on all of the health scores, how recommendations are formulated, and even a great article about the surprising things that you can learn from our new full body intelligence test. There's some great articles in there. And as well, on our YouTube channel, you can also see all of our past webinars, which our very first 3 webinars dealt with scores, food recommendations, and supplement ingredients. So you can go and revisit those as well if you want, to sit down for about 45 minutes and get some really good education. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Julia, Hillary, and Janelle, for being here today with me and answering all these questions and helping guide us through understanding our results and implementing our recommendations. I really appreciate you being here with us today. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today on the webinar and spending time with us. And because you are here with us today, we have special offers for you to get started or to continue on your health journey. Please use code RESULTS-TEST for $100 off of the original price of Full Body Intelligence, or Results Plan to receive 15% off for 3 months on a new supplement subscription plan. So that's just for you guys. And we have more webinars in the works. We hope to see you right back here for our next live event very soon. Thank you again and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.